Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from the actual bottom of the bottomless pit in the Bat Cave. Lots of good stuff down here, Alan. I'm surprised he's never scaled down here.
That's not good stuff, Joe.
A few skeletal remains from a couple of robins that never really made the cut.
No.
I'm not going to say anything.
I just want you to know you're not standing in 3 feet of pudding, Joe. That's guano.
Now, Brandon, please ignore the fertilizer, the Gilbreth Fertilizer Company sacks over here to the corner. Joe didn't know.
Yeah, pretty interesting environment.
Well,
anyway,
you are full. Never mind.
Where do you think all the gardens look so good?
So this is why you're satisfy your strange gardening itch.
Yeah,
there you go.
All right. Didn't think we'd get that much mileage out of it. But anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friend in Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And I think we can call this a Titanic announcement today. Let's just get this out of the way, Brandon.
You know, by saying it's a Titanic announcement, you're just going to crash and burn.
I'm like, oh.
Well, we've called for it. Fans have demanded it. Actually, Brandon's demanded it more than anybody. We've all
challenged
wanted
our
this.
fans to demand it.
And so we are going to, okay, we're going to a second
both
hour.
Both of you did.
We're going to do a second hour of Geek Tank. For now, it's going to be online, right? Mm-hmm, so basically, we're going to do our noon to 1 show here on 98.9 FM. And then if you go over to geektankradio.com, you'll find links. Alan, you're going to have to be pretty punctual about getting these up.
Don't worry about it.
Shortly after the show, you can find our second hour, which what frees us up, why I'm excited about this, Brandon, is it allows us to bring back some of our staples and some of the segments we've had to let go by the wayside because we haven't had enough time. Right. Notably, our Bad Geek Confessions. We can unpack that properly.
I have one thing I have to say about the Bad Geek Confessions.
Okay.
If your Bad Geek Confession is read in the second hour, you don't get passes. So you better entertain me.
Okay, well, I don't know. See, Brandon's already disrupting the waters. So, also a segment that I have long missed is our Conspiracy Nation, where we put on our tinfoil hats and we expand our mind and we explore conspiracies. So.
I don't expand my mind. I just watch you all act insane.
Yeah, you're the reactionary in this one. So. But so that's what's coming. So that's what we're gonna do. We're sticking to it, and so now you've got 2 hours of us, right? So that's even more reason to subscribe to us either on Spotify or on YouTube, or like we say, just go to geektankradio.com and the links will be there. And but guys, today we've got a few things. We're going to touch on Moon Knight. We're into episode 2. I'm mostly intrigued. Well, I'm not going to say what I'm mostly intrigued by. I think it's opening philosophical discussions, and it's also character studies that we may get to. Anyway.
Yeah, just wake me when Jake Lockley shows up.
Okay. Anyway. I don't know what that means. I do want to, if you don't mind, guys, later in the show, I just want to mention something about Attack on Titan Season 3. I'm calling this Season 3.0 because...
Season 4.
Oh, Season 4. It's tried to end several times, and it's still...
7.
Right. So we're going to... But Attack on Titan is an interesting show, and there's some things that we're going to discuss with that. But and Alan's got a nice science update all about the human genome.
Lovely.
It's very timely. But, hey, guys, before we get to that, we do need to give a nice shout-out and a big thank you to everybody involved with Shelby County Star Trek Day, which took place last night at the Black Lodge Video, which is a deceiving name, folks. You think it's just some video store. It's a venue, man.
Right.
It's great.
It's pretty awesome.
I got to admit, that's the first time I've been to an event there. I've been in there before, but it's really, it's a really unique event space. So,
I remember, I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine, since Allan's, left it open. And I remember back when they were, out in the Cooper Young area. And when you tell me that Star Trek Day is going to be there, I'm thinking the little small place.
Right.
This place is actually really impressive.
It's got a stage. I'll tell you, folks, if you're a local musician or maybe a stand-up comedian, or you just need an event that needs a stage or something, it's a really nice place to do it. And you're supporting sort of a Memphis institution because it is, And Shelby County Star Trek Day is becoming an institution. If you're new to the show, you may not realize that we are literally the only city in America that has an officially sanctioned Star Trek Day. It's on the books. It's going to be on the books for perpetuity, and it was created by a former Shelby County Commissioner yes. Steve Mulroy. One of the few good political acts that have come out of out of the Shelby County. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, and it was really cool doing the Skype interview with David Gerald, who is the author of that famous episode, Trouble with Tribbles, probably the most famous episode of Star Trek. He was a great. Everybody got to ask him questions, and we learned a lot of cool stuff. I have to imagine that video is going to get posted on Shelby County Star Trek Day's Facebook page, which we recommend. Go over there, check it out, and join. Make sure you show up next year. It's a free event.
Probably show up on Geeky Side TV and CC Entertainment Spotlight with Scott J. Carroll.
That's a good point. Yeah, he had his camera out continuously.
We were filming the whole event last night.
But it was the biggest crowd ever. It was a lot of fun, and it was great. So it was nice to visit with all our friends at Shelby County Star Trek Day. Well, speaking of science-y things, Allan, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about mapping the human genome. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
They are still coming through. This is impossible.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Oh, nothing's impossible in this studio. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our buddy Max behind the glass. And hey, Brandon, one thing that we're going to reinstitute, as we said, if you just tuned in, we are going to a second hour of Geek Tank Radio, and the way it's going to work is we're going to have the hour, that you listen to here on News Talk 98.9 FM is still going to run from noon to 1. And we're going to do our second hour on geektankradio.com, but it's still basically the same.
So you are still coming through.
We're still coming through, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, we've demanded it. The listeners, well, I guess our listeners have demanded it.
All three of them.
But also, one thing that we want you, we want you to participate. We don't like to take too many calls on the air. That's not really our thing. But we do still invite you to call the Geek Tank Radio line or text line. You can call 901-683-0989. Leave a voice message or text, and I think we even take pictures. So if you've got cool pictures that are tasteful, people, we don't want to.
We want to see your cosplays. We want to see your various novelty collections.
Yeah.
If you've got your own Bat Cave, we want to see pictures.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to celebrate the geekdom
particularly
with you.
One without a bottomless pit.
Yeah. Okay. Move it along, Max. We got enough mileage.
I'm good.
Hey, we can do remotes from your bottomless pit too.
But also, if you've got a Bad Geek Confession, that's a great place to leave it. You can either call it in or text it. And
I say text it because that way I can read it on the air.
You can just copy
and
paste.
Nobody actually recognizes your voice when you play it.
There you go.
And keep in mind, if you send us your Bad Geek Confession and we read it on the air, then you get a free pass to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
When is
that? November 11th through 13th at the Memphis Marriott East. We'll be plugging that. It's a little far off at this point.
It's never too far to start plugging.
That's true. But anyway, okay, we've done our duty. But now, Allan, you have the floor.
Hail science!
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right. Well, we finally got the announcement we've been waiting for a while.
Yeah.
Of
I get superpowers.
A while, like 20 years.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, this has been going on a long time. The idea was with the advances in computer technology, the advances in the ability to scan things.
Right.
The idea was we need a map of the human genome.
Hey, Allan, I don't want to sound like a rube right out of the gate, but my job here is to ask the everyman question. I don't really know what the human genome is. I think I do. But
you know what that DNA stuff is?
Well, it's more or less the material that you're made out of, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
So it's basically making a map of your building materials.
Exactly. Well, it's actually the blueprint of Joe.
Do we want that?
Well, we got it now.
As long as nobody recreates it.
Yeah. Okay, so making a map of that. I'm sorry, Allan, but you get me excited.
I know.
And I
Here
ask
we go.
questions.
I'm ready.
Measuring, I would think just discovering what a person is actually made out of or what materials go into constructing our body. That's its own science, and then mapping it.
The only difference here is that now You measure once and cut twice.
Right. Yep. Oh, yeah. But, okay. All right, I think I understand.
We'll tie CRISPR into this next week.
Okay.
So it's easy to see why this has taken so long. So,
well, we have a few pairs of those little DNA darlings. Basically, you're looking at 4 base pairs of nucleotides.
Okay.
So picture it this way. You are made out of nothing more than 4. We're just going to call them A, C, T, and G for right now. So each layer is a different combination of those 4 nucleotides. This begins to create the basic idea of the human genome. Now, we get into what is also called a double helix, which means it's not just a simple ribbon cable.
Interesting. Sorry, you're making me think about 8 million things, but go ahead.
I was watching the hat spin on his head there for just a
Alan,
moment.
when you're saying this,
I saw the Cubs logo a lot.
Here's what you're reminding me of. Have you ever gone to these restaurants? Like there's some pizza places are notorious for this. Okay. They have this huge menu because they serve pizza, but then they also serve little cinnamon bites, which are basically made out of pizza dough with cinnamon on it. Or they're made of, or they have this sandwich that's basically all the ingredients that go on their meat lovers pizza.
Yes.
Right.
So they have like a very small list of ingredients, but you can make a wide variety of things with them. You're saying our bodies are similar. We have like 4 items and everything is mixed and matched to make
it is the ultimate.
And just add water, right?
It is just just add a nucleotide. He's pretty much
accurate,
on it, man.
All right, well that's what I'm asking.
So humans are personal pizzas.
There you go.
In a lot of ways, depending upon whose point of view you're looking at.
And
this
too
makes
often
sense.
they're burnt.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Now, there's about 3 billion of these.
Oh yeah.
All right, so it's not a short string. This thing is rather expansive, and we're not actually biologically that complicated. I hate to say it, but a crayfish is much more genealogically more complicated than a human.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah. I couldn't get it out once.
Yeah.
So here we go. So we got about 3 billions of these little letter pairs, and we're going to try to map it. So how in the world do you map this thing when you only have a limited amount of computer space? Well, you take a picture of about 500 of them, and you keep taking a picture of about 500 of them, and you keep overlapping until you kind of sync it up. And then you move the map down. So this way you're not reading a mistake, you're double-checking your work. So we're doing this. It's taken over 20 years.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we got... Really, honestly, about 10 years ago, they said the project was fundamentally complete because we had about 92% of the genome, which was more than enough to start studying and playing with. But picture reading a murder mystery and the last 8% of the book was missing.
Yeah, 92% doesn't sound nearly enough to me, Alan. I mean,
all right, they agree, and this
sounds like Frankenstein waiting to happen, man. So it's
funny you mention that. So technology's changed since '85 when this was proposed. So over the years, we've redone technology a few times. And this last one was led by a company called PacBio. And instead of doing it 500 pairs at a time, they were able to go back through the whole thing, and they were able to look at 100,000 pairs at a time.
Nice.
And now they're building on the research of the last 25 years.
Sure.
So it's been mapped and mapped and mapped and mapped and mapped. But guess what? This last little bit that was so hard and so confusing and so difficult to get, we got it.
Was that a result of the technology just caught up and made it easier to do, or did they just figure something? I'm trying to figure out why they suddenly were able to solve the last 8%.
I'm going to say it was just done.
Okay.
I think I'm going to say D, all of the above. And there's lots of reasons why we want to look at this. Well, we'll take an easy one. Let's take like Down syndrome. Down syndrome is trisomy 21. Basically, you have an extra chromosome at the 21st pair, and that creates what we call Down syndrome.
Okay.
This has been a well-known genetic marker in technology for decades. So we kind of looked at this and went, aha, we have a direct relationship between you find this on the genome, you're going to get this result.
Are you talking about, so you look at somebody's genome map and you see maybe flaws or something that down the road they're going to get this? Or, like, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, Down syndrome is you're actually born with it.
Okay.
But all right, I happen to have a genetic aberration. I know you're shocked about that, where I can't taste, at least one, I can't taste a certain spice. That's very popular in Mexican food.
For you, that's a traumatic event.
I will never know. I will never know what cilantro tastes like to the rest of you. Because to me, it tastes like soap.
All right.
So same here.
Yeah. So, Brandon and I are in this very small little group, but it is because of genetics.
Which is funny, because bringing that part up, because that came into question last night during Star Trek Day at the Black Lodge food court.
Interesting. It's full circle, man.
Yep. So, now when you get to Star Trek, now see, we're going to tie this all in totally, utterly geeky here, because how would a transporter know how to send you and put you back together?
I was, in my notes here, I was thinking transport, because I always thought the cure to cancer would be if the Star Trek transporter ever was invented, they just transport you from one place to another. The transporter identifies the cancer cells and just beams those into space and sends you back to the platform.
They talked about having a biofilter on it. So if you had a cold, all you had to do was go through the transporter and the viruses got deleted.
Exactly.
So is that why when you transport, nobody just pukes on the floor right there? Because I figured that would be kind of like, stomach churning.
Well, that is why bones would never go through that infernal device.
Alan, when you're saying this, what you're making me think is, how many billion did you say were? You got 3 billion of these babies or something?
More or less.
I'm just picturing, you're looking at a wall with 3 billion cubes on it or something, and you find the tainted ones or the ones that are defective, and you just get rid of those. And, it's almost like it feels like this is identifying down to the microscopic level or something, and that's what's gonna.
Well, when we come back, I'm gonna throw in how this just might change medicine.
Yeah, because I feel like after all this work, we better get some.
We've already gotten a lot of payback out of this, but it's about to get better.
Okay. All right. Well, it's interesting, and it's like, I feel like this is one of those landmark discoveries that you don't appreciate it at the time, but years from now, they're going to look back and mark the date that they finished this work.
And go, this is when we found out how.
Yeah, the year 2022 was very pivotal. So, all right, well, we'll wrap up our science discussion when we come back, and then I guess let's dive a little bit into talking about Moon Knight. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
I hate these nerds. Just because I'm stupider than them, they think they're smarter than me.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Well, when you're dealing with nerds, that's the kind of logic you got to deal with. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And we want to encourage you. We're going to start pounding the drum on this. We want you to leave us a voice message or leave us a text at our Geek Tank Radio text line. Or let me start over. Our Geek Tank Radio phone and text line at 901-683-0989. And especially if you've got a bad geek confession, and if you've got pictures, or if we can take text pictures. We want them to be tasteful, and send your comments or questions there. And we'll address those, next week. That's kind of our thing. We're not really into taking, hot calls on the show, right, Brandon?
We're just
disrupts the flow.
We're just gonna run over whatever the person on the phone is trying to talk to us about, because we don't stop talking.
And let's face it, geeks are very chatty. It's not like if they call Tool Talk Radio, they can ask a question about how to fix their toilet or something. We give the answer or we move along.
He always goes to toilets.
Yeah,
it's a thing. Toilets and Batman.
Absolutely.
We're gonna tell you.
Hey, Allan, we're gonna in a minute we're gonna get to our discussion about Moon Knight, but let's wrap up your science discussion, because you said they've mapped the human genome, and which is a pretty landmark thing. I didn't hear a lot of fanfare about this, but I think down the road this is going to be noted as a pivotal day in science history. So.
Well, this is one of these quiet, the boat's been at sea for decades. It finally just kind of slid into the berth. And here's the thing. We're not really sure what we've got yet.
Yeah. That's true.
However,
you got a map, but now how do you explore
exactly.
it?
You know, the adventure, you know, where the pirate treasure is buried has yet to begin. So now we just recently had some success with RNA, with the new COVID vaccines and that kind of stuff, and and everybody's kind of like, well, how'd they do this so fast? Because we started 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's not like they started from scratch.
It's not like we just went, oh, look, we have pterodactyl eggs. How do you make an omelet? We had to do something new. This has been ongoing for a long time. So, you know, Brandon and I have discussed this many times.
Oh, yeah.
That we don't even, we got the map. We got some basic ideas from the past, but now we have new technologies to begin to apply to this, and we don't even really know what to look for yet. So I'll pick on cilantro topic.
Right.
Brandon and I can pick on that.
And it's a food reference.
Well, that too.
That's the key.
You know, incidentally, but you know, I could be picking on wiggling your ears or rolling your tongue, which are also genetic markers that have been known. We've known about them for a long time, but now we can actually see where they are on the map. So let's pick on the cilantro thing. We're going to pick on the cilantro thing because we just had a disease that affects the ability to taste.
That's right. A lot of COVID victims, they couldn't taste something for like 6 months or maybe even still.
If we know where that spot is that says, well, Brandon, you can't taste cilantro. It tastes like soap to you.
Tastes like soap.
All right. What is different about yours from Joe's? Why did you get the soap variation and he got the, oh my gosh, this is tasty? Now, would that figure into a disease progression?
Ah, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, because anybody who thinks that cilantro tastes good has got to be ill.
Yeah. But, you know, 98% of the population does not agree with us.
They're ill.
I know you and I think they're ill because they like, you know, Irish Spring on their burrito.
Ellen, am I wrong-headed here? One of the things, because I mean, you're making me think of this. I'm first of all, I'm staying clear of the way they're going to manipulate this to create the next super soldier or the next monster or something like that. However,
you know, that's a whole episode in itself.
Is the big thing here the diagnostic ability? Because I'm just thinking of our cars, like our buddy Max here. He's been having all these troubles with his cars. Okay. And there's all these sensors and all these little things, and it's like a crapshoot. You just go, okay, well, let's replace this sensor. Let's replace this thing. It just diagnosing problems with your cars is difficult enough. Well, is this genome mapping the ability to now very succinctly and very careful, you know, it gives us a more exact knowledge of like defects in the genes or something. I guess I'm just thinking, I keep going back to like cancer cells or things that are, you know, where you can identify the problem and address it instead of,
you know, you should have been at the pitch meeting to fund this back in 1985, because you're pretty much stating exactly why this project was so important.
Right. Okay.
What can we do with a map of the human genome? Well, at some point we need one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Medical science is advancing rapidly in a wide variety of directions. I'm walking proof of it. Trust me, I'm more than happy that there's some great titanium technology out there. Of what else could there have been? Was there a marker somewhere in my genes that said I was going to need titanium? I don't know. But chances are we're going to find out. And I'm even going to lean this over into the fully, let's go all out MCU world, because you did mention super soldiers or advanced capabilities, or in the case of Moon Knight, we'll pick up mental illness, we'll pick up a few other things. It's not that necessarily you would have these things, but what if you have this marker? Wouldn't you be more aware of it? So let's say that there is a marker for being addicted to Parmesan cheese. I'm just
don't look at me that way. Right, I put Parmesan on everything.
I was say, you're going a little too far with food references for even me.
Yeah. But let's just say you had a marker for that, and easy way to avoid the complications of that addiction is don't get around that substance.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense.
There's so many to this.
Due to the studying of the human genome, they've been able to go ahead and test for diseases in younger people because someone in their family, had this. We check that same marker in you to see if you have could development. It's still not necessarily going to be you who gets it, but there's the marker that says that you are prone to get it.
Yeah.
We see that with dementia patients.
Yes.
Alzheimer's patients, and things like that.
Is this something that is a family trait?
Right.
And if so, what can you do about it now so that it doesn't bother you?
Yeah, because
or at least prepare yourself and your loved ones for the possibility that you may have it.
Yeah, and one thing I've been hearing about, like Alzheimer's and stuff, is that there's some mental exercises you can do that actually strengthen your brain because the brain is a muscle, and there's things you can do to. So yeah, knowing in advance, I suppose. I don't know, Alan. This is the beginning of the conversation. This is the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah,
this thing
isn't the end of a project.
Started,
this is just step one.
This
is a huge world.
This is the prologue to the novel that will be
exactly.
this.
And we finally got a map.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we finally typed. And this is 25 years, but this is, honestly, Brandon is dead on it. This is the footnote in the prologue at the beginning that went, and we now have a map.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, if you listen to Geek Tank Radio, just put a pin in this one, because these are the kind of things we tend to reference things over and over. So the next time Allan has a human genome story, we're going to go,
we're going to
good idea to come back and listen to this. So, but pretty interesting stuff, sir. So, but it's time to shift gears. We got to go to Disney Plus. It wouldn't be right if we didn't acknowledge the overlords over there.
You can't be a geek and not talk about Disney.
Absolutely.
Plus anymore.
So, Brandon, we're dealing spoilers here, folks. I mean, big deal. It's, let's talk about Moon Knight episode 2. Let's at least get it started. So,
okay. What do you want to know, Joe?
Well, I got a question. Okay,
Khonshu is not a nice god.
No.
I'm coming into this with I basically know nothing about Moon Knight, other than I've heard that they call him the MCU Batman, which I think is a completely inaccurate description. I don't see any similarities.
That's true, because when it's all said and done, Batman ain't got nothing on Moon Knight but money.
Yeah. Okay. I just don't see the similarities. However, I was intrigued by. I'm really intrigued by Ethan Hawke's character, who's technically, I guess, the villain, but he's
Arthur
once
Harrow.
again he's got.
He is more the antagonist.
Yeah.
There's not with Moon Knight. You're not going to deal in who's the hero and who's the villain. You're going to deal with who's on which side.
Yeah, that's really what you get here.
Because honestly, the villain is Amit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The gods are the villains, right? These guys are what avatars for the
yes,
and it's how much you cooperate or how much you embrace their philosophy. Because he was Moon Knight once, right? This Arthur guy. So
allegedly,
Now,
so there's a lot going on here.
And here's the thing about it, Joe. We're not going to tell you anything about comic Moon Knight.
Why not?
Because this is a great introduction to the modern version of Moon Knight. We can tell you all about the past, but it's going to get your expectations up for something you may not see here.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's what we're going to do. When we come back, we're going to unpack this a little bit, and but it's going to be interesting. So you're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and continue our conversation about Moon Knight.
Geek Tank Radio. News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
I wish Max would pull it together, man. Man up, sir. We can't have any of this whining.
Don't despair, listeners. There's another hour if you just go online.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And yes, he's right. We are going to 2 hours. It's sort of an interesting dynamic. We're going to be on the air here, from noon to 1 here on 98.9 FM. And then for the second hour, which is we don't shirk on the quality. It's basically a second hour of Geek Tank. It's going to be an online installment.
No, wait, that's why I'm crying, is because it's more you guys on the air.
That's true.
I'll have you know, Max, that they they run wild with that second hour.
Yeah. So that's going to just go to geektankradio.com and or I guess you could go to our Spotify page or something. But the geektankradio.com is sort of the one-stop shop.
Yes.
Or go to our Facebook page too. You know, we want to encourage you
there
to do all that. But also, we want more interaction, so we want to hear from you. So call or text us at the Geek Tank Radio phone line at 901-683-0989. And among other things, you can send pictures, you can leave voice messages or text of your Bad Geek Confessions or just, content you think we need to address. And maybe something a little outside the mainstream that maybe isn't owned by Disney or Warner Brothers. So.
And you wonder why this show seems to go so fast.
Yeah, a lot of information. But anyway, hey, Brandon, speaking of that, let's, you said it off the air. We were talking about Moon Knight a little bit. I'm intrigued by the villain and their motivation, but maybe we ought to just kind of put a pin in our Moon Knight discussion because let's give it a few more episodes.
There's so much nuance to Moon Knight itself that I think that you need to watch most of it, if not all of it, before we really sit down and discuss it.
Okay, because honestly, I know nothing about Moon Knight in the comics or anything, and you said there's a variation going on, so maybe we will do that. But we encourage you to check it out. I mean, look, Disney Plus, we may say what we want, but we're never canceling that subscription. Every time I think I'm going to, I don't.
It's a very well made show. It's well acted, well produced. It's enjoyable, but. Buckle up, folks. It's going to go some weird places.
Yeah, and as Allan, I have to admit, Allan, it's all about the villain. I think Ethan Hawke is really fascinating.
He is driving that show, the action, very well.
But anyway, all right, but it's time to shift gears. All right,
there
Max.
We go. I'm going to tell you something about me that only 3 people in my life know. Can I trust you?
Please sit down, Mary. I'm going to tell you everything.
Everyone has secrets. Everyone tells lies.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to Father.
I've seen things.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
There's a callback.
Wow.
Brandon?
I think Brandon just had a flashback.
And oddly enough, that's actually the same music used for the confession for Tool Talk Radio. I just realized that.
Oh, how about that?
That's freaky.
Cosmic alliances. But Brandon, this is your baby.
Wow.
This is something you created, and we're resurrecting
right
it.
now, I feel. Is this what a hippie feels like?
Yes. You feel like Glurg after that hippie kicked in.
A flashback. So this is one of your first creations, Brandon, the Bad Geek Confession.
Oh, man, and they've been so much fun, and it's good to have them back.
Yeah.
And, oh, my goodness, we're going to have to hurt these people. I love them, but, we've got our first on-air Bad Geek Confession.
Yeah.
And it starts off very, very tenderly.
Okay.
Dear GTR, my boyfriend wears a pretty cool Batman costume when we go to the conventions, and I like to dress as Death from Sandman. But whenever he poses for pictures with other fans, he always wears a big smile or puts rabbit ears behind the person or something like that. It bugs me because that seems so out of character for Batman. But I've never said anything to him about it. So who's the bad geek here? Me or the boyfriend? Sincerely, Troubled in Gotham. Yes. We want to talk about the bad geek? Yes.
Okay, wait.
Both.
When did we turn into an Ann Landers
the
advice
minute
hour?
we said we had
this is multi-textured,
okay,
Brandon.
so,
this is a good Bad Geek Confession.
So
I like
this kind of reminds me of Am I the A on Reddit, but more fun. So your boyfriend has issues, and it's not it's not a bad thing. He's having fun, which everybody should be able to have fun. And you're kind of the bad geek for kind of like calling him out on it. But we asked you to call people out on these things.
Yeah.
And I want to say that your boyfriend is taking it out of character, or he may be an Adam West fan. There's nothing wrong with that. But if he really wants to do the big smile, he wants to put the, bunny ears behind people's heads during the selfies, whatever he wants to do, tell him he needs to lighten up his skin and put on the red lipstick.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Max.
Well, like she cosplays Death and everything, so she's had thousands of years to mature and everything. Her boyfriend's only maybe 20 or 30 or so.
Well, that's a good point.
I forgot that when it comes to cosplay, Max is meta.
Yep.
Yeah, but see, Death, it's ironic because Death is a very cheerful character, and you think she would be but I don't know, Brandon. I'm of two minds about this. For one thing, in any relationship, communication is key. If you can't share
you're
this,
you're not turning my Bad Geek Confessions into marriage advice. Go sit in the corner.
Well, no, but I think this all plays into it because, for one thing, I'm thinking if they played their cards right, the combination of death from Sandman and Batman, interesting photo op. If you did it right, I mean, those are two compelling characters. But
no.
Well, I'm of the opinion if he's going to be that friendly and big and grinny and that kind of stuff, maybe he should look into playing the Tick.
Yeah,
God, no.
Yeah, you wonder what's going on here, but also you wonder.
if he can pull off a good Batman, he should be able to pull off a Tick.
Well, it's obvious he's not pulling off a good Batman.
So here's the question, you guys. The psychological component is: does this guy secretly hate Batman? Because this is very passive aggressive. He's basically representing Batman, and yet. He's
not
under the
dark
bus.
and broody.
I'm going to step a little into our friend Alyssa's fashion thing and say the suit doesn't make the man makes the suit.
Ooh.
Oh wow! As we learned in Spider-Man: Homecoming, right? So, but we got to solve the problem though, you guys.
The fact that you haven't told him that it bugs you, from a geek standpoint, that makes you a bad geek because geeks fight about everything. At the same time, he is kind of taking his Batman a little. He's getting a little corny. But I'm going to say this, and Joe's gonna feel this one in his wallet.
Oh, boy.
It's a couple's confession.
It is.
And so therefore, I want to give 2 3-day passes to these individuals for the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention because she showed that she's kind of a gatekeeper geek, which is not a good thing.
Well,
but she also gave us a look into her boyfriend who is being thrown under the bus.
Okay, but I think we all agree.
And I really just want to see the two of them at MCFC in those costumes, and I want to be there when she finally goes, "Stop smiling, you're not the Joker."
Yeah, I think we can agree, though, that he part of his responsibility, if you're going to wear the colors, if you're going to be Batman, then you should at least try to respect the character.
Now, I want to see him play a cosplay a very sober Joker that doesn't do any jokes.
Oh, see, that's exactly
jokes.
Oh, see, that's exactly.
Yeah,
what if the Joker?
He compensates for his lack of brooding Batman by being a brooding Joker.
Yeah, so that's the whole trouble here. It's like,
So he's going to be Morpheus from Sandman?
Right. I think this guy secretly hates Batman. I think this guy's a Marvel operative. He's trying to undercut Batman in any way he can.
All right, Joe,
does he have Hail Hydra under his cape?
We're starting to see your Bad Geek Confession.
Now we're starting to see Conspiracy Nation right here.
It's going into that. So dear...
I'm going to say this. Anybody who would drop money on a really cool, accurate Bat costume doesn't do it out of hate.
Well, see, here's the other thing.
They may do it out of spite, but they don't do it out of hate.
Okay, it's one thing to be dressed at home this way. And when you go out to a convention, you have a certain responsibility to the fans. If you're posing with Batman, you don't want him making rabbit ears behind you.
Wait a second. Do you sit around your house and cosplay, Joe?
Hey, people do in their own home. But what I'm saying, Brandon,
no.
is...
Oh, man. This is getting into my behavioralism classes. I'm enjoying this even more.
No, I'm going to say this. If you're a goofy guy and you just have to do your, if you have to make it about yourself, how about this? If people are going to do photo ops with you at the convention, give them the serious Batman poses. Give them the, what they would expect. And if you want to throw a couple of shots in there where so don't just, don't just goof around the whole time. Give them a variety and let them decide.
I don't know. I'm starting to lean this guy's way. It's like, yeah, people are going to come up to you and they want pictures. Give them something they're not expecting.
Yeah. But bigger than that, if you've got a problem with your spouse or with your boyfriend or something like that,
the bus to me.
Don't just let these things marinate, because this is going to manifest itself in a lot of other ways. And who knows? You might be enhancing your relationship if you take the risk and share your grievance with them.
And he may ask you to dress as Catwoman next time.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's the problem. Maybe he's not happy with her cosplay choices. So there's all sorts of dynamics going on here.
I'm just going to throw this out there to the guy. When you find out that your girlfriend has gotten you free tickets to the MCFC, hit us back up with what you feel about her cosplay.
Absolutely. Ooh. So, all right. So that's that was a really good example of what we want for a Bad Geek Confession. Actually, I'd say it was almost more dynamic than we usually get. Usually we get something a little more straightforward.
This is a new level. I actually like this better than the ones we've gotten in the past. Even though the ones in the past were fun.
Yeah.
And they got to be psychoanalyzed by an old friend.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's what we want. We want get in touch with us at the voicemail or text line at 901-683-0989.
Again, I recommend the text line because that way, because if I get the voicemail, I may not transcribe it right. And if we actually play it, we don't have anything to disguise your voice.
And also, if you're going to send us pictures, make sure you let us know whether we have permission to post those on Facebook or not. Because or let's just say, if you send them there, it's fair game.
Right.
We're
If you put them up on Facebook, everybody's going to see them. If
well,
you
if you
send
put
them
in the
directly to
text line,
us, let us know that it's okay to post them before we do.
Yeah, and 2 tickets to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
So we're not going to do that every time, Brandon. I'm not here to go broke.
Oh,
but,
Joe, it'll be okay. We won't have that many people throwing their spouse under the bus.
Yeah, well, they're not a spouse yet, but they may be. But that's going to be interesting. I want to see them.
They wouldn't be the first couple that actually, got engaged and became part of the MCFC family.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, guys, I don't know how to sign out here. We're coming up near the end of the first hour of Geek Tank Radio. However, if you tune over to online,
this is the end of the on air portion. We finished the same way we always finish.
Okay.
Strong.
So, a lot of fun, you guys. But, man, it's great. So, coming up, if you're going to listen online, go to geektankradio.com. Among other things, I can't wait to dive into our Conspiracy Nation.
All right, Joe,
I've been dying to bring that back.
I have a terrible confession. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, this one's going to be right in Allan's wheelhouse. We're going to talk about Attack on Titan. We're going to talk about several things, and if you want to know what they are, you need to go to geektankradio.com. But for now, it's time to get off the air. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, challenging Allan Gilbreth to get this posted before you finish hearing my voice.
Yeah, Allan.
Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome to Hour 2 of Geek Tank Radio. Boy, it feels fun to say that, you guys. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And this is what you can expect. Is this twice the pain, twice the suffering, twice the...
Maybe twice the pain for me.
Yeah.
Brandon, am I having a goldfish issue?
Okay.
Last episode, he didn't have on a coat.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe this is the Mandela effect.
I'm just telling you. I'm pretty sure something has changed.
Anyway, yeah. So, guys, this is cool. So now it's our special online content. You could say, I don't know. We don't know where this is going to wind up. I'm just calling it Hour 2.
Dude, we're on air. Let's go.
We got our second hour, as Brandon has been wanting for years, and actually, not years, but for months.
No. We can go and say years because at our last home, I kept saying it too, and they didn't they didn't want to give it to us either.
Well, they respond over here, so
we took it here, so.
Which is allowing us to expand and get into some content that we can unpack better, and also get back some of our old gags, like our Bad Geek Confession, which we had a really intriguing one in our first hour. That was
pretty awesome.
That was almost a /marriage counsel / advice column. It was great.
That's the past, Joe. Let's keep going forward.
But among other things, one thing we're going to be getting to shortly is our Conspiracy Nation, which is, boy, I've been wanting to resurrect this for a long time, but it takes, you need time to unpack these things. We have one today that is very
and a chicken and a full moon.
I got my finger on the trigger for this next soundbite.
Yeah, okay. Well, stand by, Max, because before we get to that, we've been really remiss in talking about Attack on Titan, because if you're new to Geek Tank Radio, let me start over. If you're new to Geek Tank Radio, Max and I and Allan are big Attack on Titan fans. Brandon doesn't seem to be all that interested.
I just don't care.
Okay, fine. That's okay. I have sort of a caveat, though. It's based on a manga, which has been going on for I don't even know how many years. I know the anime has been almost, I think we're up to like 10 or 11 years that this thing's been going on. So, and they're still not finished. They keep saying this is the final season, and then they make you wait, and then they give you about 6 episodes, then they make you wait. So we're in like season 4.0 or something like that.
This artist keeps waking up and going, "Whoa, got another one."
But we're going to deal in slight spoilers. But one thing, okay, I probably would not let your kids watch this, mostly just because of the gore and the violence. I mean, they don't shy away from the the ugliness of war, the ugliness of being eaten by a giant monster, and what that looks like when you bite somebody in half. And however,
if they can watch the news, they can watch Titan.
Yeah, no, it's a very compelling story, and I guess this is what I wanted to throw out to the floor. You might even appreciate this, Brandon. One thing we've talked about, like for example, in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, is one of my complaints, mostly in the second and third movie, was that I always felt that the stakes were too high and they shied away from Batman's street level influence and, just the more of a character study, that type of thing, focusing in on maybe the more, I don't know what, not every day, but just getting to know the characters and things like that more. Okay, well, Attack on Titan has this really great balance of I don't know what they do, but you care about every single character, and I don't care if it's a character that shows up for 2 episodes. You know this character, you feel one way or about them. You know that, Max, right?
I mean, from the beginning, I've always gravitated towards the character Jean for just some odd reason.
Yeah, sometimes he's annoying. Sometimes he's
but he's right.
He's heroic. Sometimes he's flawed. He's flawed, just like every good character should be. My favorite character, of course, is Captain Levi. But what I like is they really have they're very good at fleshing out characters. And the other thing is, this is one of those deals where you don't know who's going to live from one episode to the next. You start getting attached to somebody, and it's didn't they do that in Game of Thrones or something? I never watched that.
If the character was likable, they usually died.
Oh.
I think there was some kind of DC movie lately that used the tagline, "Don't get attached."
Yeah.
Yep.
But it makes you...
That's the Suicide Squad. I mean,
it makes you pay attention. But if I would say this, if you I don't know, it's a really well-made anime. The manga is good, but it just doesn't hold up to the anime, in my opinion. The anime is very epic, and I'm jealous. If you have some interest in Attack on Titan and you want to watch it, you could not have picked a better time, because now you can binge watch this thing. You don't have to wait the 4 to 5 years in between seasons that we had to wait. Remember, what was one? We were wondering if it was even going to come back, Alan, between season 2 and 3.
One was like a novelty. You watched it and you went, what did I just see? And there's no more of it.
Right.
You're just kind of like, and okay. Then 2-3 years later, suddenly it's like, oh, there they are again.
Yeah, it felt like a long time. I don't know, but it's a great time to watch it. I have a lot more confidence they are going to wrap it up. I mean, they have to. They can't stretch this out too much longer. But it's an outstanding anime. It's a very grisly but really compelling and one of the best ever made. So check it out. Attack on Titan. I think you can watch it on Hulu or Netflix. So, look into that. So, all right, well, I feel good about that one, but I can't promise anything what's coming up next, guys. We're resurrecting our conspiracy nation, and I'm not going to tease it at all. You're just going to have to stay tuned here at Geek Tank Radio at News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio. News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
That's the sound of Joe because we get the extra hour.
I don't know. I thought Max is
oddly
losing
appropriate there, so we got to.
Yeah.
Right.
Why do I get the feeling we're going to lose the second hour next week?
Yeah, we better move it along.
I got the crinkle of foil in my ear.
Oh yeah. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass.
We may not be friends after this.
No, this one is going to test the metal of our friendship. But hey, I want to remind everybody, even though this is the second hour, we got to take care of a little business. Make sure you start contacting us. You can leave us a voicemail or a text line at the Geek Tank Radio line at 901-683-0989, and you can even send us pictures.
It needs a name.
Yeah, we'll come up with a name. And as
it needs to be the something sponsored nerd line.
Yeah, well, funny you should say that. Let's just cut down to brass tacks. There's some scuttlebutt going on, and we've been engaging in it this week. Somebody out there, some business owner, is going to go ahead and become the naming sponsor for Geek Tank or the naming sponsor for the phone line. So if you're interested in that, you need to get in touch with us sooner than later, because I think it's going to turn into a bidding war or a street fight.
It's coming quick.
But anyway, we're here, and it's finally time we can resurrect one of my all-time favorite segments, you guys.
The truth is out there.
Fluoride is used by the communists to control our minds.
No, it's not.
Fact. Space does not exist.
Fact. Bears eat beets. Oh, bears. Beets. Battlestar Galactica.
Bears do not... What is going on? What are you doing?
Okay. Max is really enjoying these. Okay. Anyway, guys, it's time to bring back Conspiracy Nation. So let me, for those of you who've never heard this before, let me just explain. This is when we go ahead and we put on our tinfoil hats, we expand our minds, and we explore all possibilities, you guys. And
Too long didn't read. We crack open Joe's skull, and this is what comes out.
Exactly. So we're gonna do this, you guys. And today's conspiracy is okay. Basically, if you picture one of those murder walls or whatever you call this, I don't want to use the term murder wall because we're not talking about murder. I'm just talking about.
That's just what it's called. A murder board doesn't have to deal with a murder.
If you have a wall right now and you have a bunch of red strings connecting on the outskirts, you're going to find a bizarre house that looks like a spaceship. You're going to find a kid's cartoon that has all sorts of subliminal messages inside of it. You're going to deal with aliens. You're going to deal with all sorts of government conspiracies, even involving the presidents of the United States. And at the center of that web, you're going to see a picture of Jackie Gleason.
No, never mind. I was going to say something, but you're intriguing me.
Okay, well, buckle in, Max.
He's got yarn. He's excited.
My contention here, and I don't have all the answers. That's why we roundtable this with the panel. Is my contention is that Jackie Gleason was an alien. Okay, if you don't know who Jackie Gleason is, he was a pioneer of television back in the day. Just watch a few episodes of The Honeymooners. You can probably find it on YouTube, but Allan, here's the thing. Jackie Gleason and the Honeymooners show is intimately connected with the Flintstones, and we're going to overlap that discussion quite a bit here because obviously the Flintstones was based on the Honeymooners. As a matter of fact, the artist used, Audrey Meadows used footage of her to construct Wilma Flintstone and things like that. So here's my contention. If you might be surprised to know that Jackie Gleason is actually a big UFO enthusiast. His whole career, he used to play golf with Richard Nixon back in the day.
He did,
and of course
so did Allan.
Yeah, and so he had access to that. And so my thing has always been, okay, it's one thing to I feel like he purposely put it out there that he's a UFO enthusiast to cover his tracks in the fact that he's an actual alien. So that's my departure zone. Where do you guys fall in with that? So
I want to see your evidence.
Okay, well, first of all, just freeze frame. Anytime he's yelling at Alice, and look at those bulging eyes. Those are not natural. Okay,
that's called thyroid disease.
Joe, you obviously haven't seen Allan's face when his con table's been moved the night before the convention.
Okay, well,
it's the same thing.
And I'm sorry.
And he does say to the moon a lot.
Okay, here's another
Maybe
thing.
Allan's an alien.
Here's another thing. Have you guys ever seen Jackie Gleason? Incredibly mobile. He's incredibly agile, and he's got way more athletic ability than somebody with his build should have. I contest that there was something hidden under that belly. I'm sorry.
Under that somewhat flabby exterior.
Maybe another alien with controls working underneath.
I will give you a Sammo Hung and say keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay. I
was going to say Andre.
Okay.
The Rasmussen's giant was amazing, and he didn't even work out.
Okay, but also the episode "The Man from Space" is a telltale sign. I think that there was. I feel like if you are an alien, let's just suppose you're Jackie Gleason. You're there representing whatever planet he comes from. I'm not really sure which one it was. What better medium to get involved with than television, where you can broadcast information out to your people, seen by millions of others. You can send it transmits out into space. It transmits out into space and everything. I think it's pretty obvious that he's an operative. To what end, though? That's the thing,
Well, this makes you actually kind of triggered me a little bit because the idea of using comedy as like a vehicle or sort of as a remedy for certain problems. Well, there's a book I had recently finished reading where the character, as a way of kind of disguising his sort of emptiness and fear of humanity, he put on the mask of being like a joker and everything. Like he was like, he's just kidding around and everything. So, like, if he ever did reveal his true self, he'd be like, just that I'm old such and such, just being one of his practical jokes again.
Absolutely. Why do you think he was always threatening to send Allan to Alice to the moon? That's a term of endearment.
I want to see the episode where he threatens to put Alice in the movie.
We won't bring up the fact that the show was about domestic violence.
Yeah.
But, okay. So I'm going to go back and pick Nixon for a minute. Because that was a president who spent a lot of time having people over for sleepovers at the White House.
Funny you should say that, but go ahead. Yeah.
But he gave away furniture. He had famous singers. He had entertainers. He gave a certain entertainer from Memphis a badge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that deputized Elvis.
Yeah. So if you're an operative, an alien operative, you're definitely going to want to become friends with President Nixon for sure. So
I'm not sure we're talking about the right alien, but let's continue on with Mr. Gleason. What else?
Here's my other thing. So basically, one problem with Jackie Gleason was he smoked, he drank, he indulged in things like that. And but he needed to continue his message on, and so that's when the Flintstones came into operation. I feel like it's almost like when you go to Egypt and there's the hieroglyphics. Somebody needs to be able to translate that, like in the movie Stargate when James Spader, came in and correctly translated. I think there's all sorts of messages that are encoded in the Flintstones and in the Honeymooners. For example, what does Yabba Dabba Doo mean?
Yabba,
why is that? Is that
Yabba? I'm starting to think you're an alien.
Okay, but what is that? Maybe that's his battle cry for the people. Maybe that's the name of his alien race. I don't know. What do you think, Max?
Well, you said Yabba Dabba Doo, so maybe that's the alien pronunciation, or it's maybe Yabba Dabba Do.
Yeah, there's something there. And then the other thing
I can't wait till he figures out "do" is the word that means the way. So
it's the way, the Yabba Dabba.
Maybe he belongs to the planet Yabba Dabba. But then again, so you have this modern Stone Age family. They're riding dinosaurs.
No. They were not a modern Stone Age family. The Flintstones had to have been post-apocalyptic.
There you go. Exactly.
They
go
had
ahead,
to
Allan,
be post-apocalyptic because otherwise Stone Age people wouldn't have known what a garbage disposal was. Or a record player. This was definitely post-apocalyptic.
So there's a theory out there, and I think, Allan, you unpacked this once on another Conspiracy Nation about how the Flintstones tie in with the Jetsons.
They did.
They live on the bottom. The Jetsons live on the top.
That's correct. And if you even want to play with it, there was an alien common to both shows.
Exactly. Tell us about that, because that was the other
thing.
The
little guy would pop in and cause all kinds of mayhem and disruption. And
he kind of looked and sounded like Nixon.
Did he? You know what? He did look like Richard Nixon. I didn't think of that.
Who do you think me and Allan have been telling you is the alien all along? Jackie Gleason was a poor kid from Bushwick, Brooklyn, New York, who got roped into this stuff because every alien needs human friends.
Okay. Well, see, that's the debate. Look, we didn't introduce this topic saying we have all the answers. We're just connecting the dots here, and we're seeing the threat.
No, I'm telling you, I got the answers.
I don't know. Okay, so you're
saying...
Look
into this light.
Well, in other words...
It's red and fleshy.
There are 4 lights.
Yeah. So, in other words, the Flintstones is not this innocent little cartoon. Although, it was there's all sorts of subliminal things. We would love to know what you think.
You need to read the newish Flintstones comic from DC.
Okay. Exactly.
Where do you think all the raw materials upstairs was coming from?
Yeah,
downstairs.
Okay. Well, hey, these.
And you want to talk about using genetics, that kind of stuff. They had brontosauruses and stuff that they used in the stone quarry.
Absolutely. So, well, I don't know, man.
Just think of them eating the dinosaurs that spoke.
There's a larger conversation that has to happen. We've swung the door open, and maybe you're right. Maybe Jackie Gleason isn't the alien, but he sure was not a normal person.
Well, I mean that's why he was researching UFOs, is he wanted to help Nixon get home.
Okay, something, but we're all about uncovering these uncomfortable truths and expanding our mind, and I think we might continue that.
I want to see that movie rather than Spider-Man Far From Home. It's POTUS Far From Home.
There you go. Absolutely. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We don't get
political, Max.
Yeah, we're going to be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
Honestly, I hate working here. They are so weird.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Can't argue with that.
I feel that way every day.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, we're diving deep into a segment that we are resurrecting, Conspiracy Nation. And for one thing, it's always a balancing act. I'm always happy to indulge in the farthest possible scenario, the one that's the most bizarre and wide-ranging, and Allan always tries to be the buzzkill and actually talk logic and actual facts, which we don't really like to deal in too much. But
what's really awesome about this Conspiracy Nation subject, though, is that the logic that Allan brings to you backs up what you were thinking.
Oh, okay,
just at a different angle.
Well, if you're just tuning in, my contention is basically that Jackie Gleason was an alien, or at least an alien operative. This whole thing of Alice, you're going to the moon, was a signal. That was a signal that the next line of dialogue contained classified information or something like that, and that an outgrowth of this theory is that the Flintstones continues this work, and that Yabba Dabba Doo is either a battle cry of the people from that planet, or maybe it's the name of the planet or something. But there's all sorts of cryptic evidence inside of the Flintstones and the Honeymooners, among others. And Allan, you don't totally disagree with this, but maybe you haven't taken it as far as I have. So,
well, all right, I'm going to take it a different direction because. All right, I hate to say it, but the little yarn pins have real substance and connections to them.
Okay.
All right, let's back up just a little bit. Let's get to right at World War II. So this is where a lot of celebrities, Lucille Ball, Jackie Gleason, you get into all of your major entertainers, Bob Hope, and everybody that toured all over the place. These were all in place. Their careers were all here in Hollywood, right?
Right.
So Lucille Ball had this little story that she had just had some dental work done. They were driving from the dentist back to the studio, and she heard voices in her head. Now,
so it was like a radio signal going through her filling or something?
One of the things that happened when they changed the way they did fillings, instead of using actual gold, and they began using the different cavity devices, some people actually got tiny little AM radios accidentally installed.
That explains a lot.
So it was an easy fix. You just cleaned up the stuff. But, this is a story that's unsubstantiated, but she told it.
Okay.
Was that they were driving around and she heard voices, thought they sounded Japanese, and allegedly a spy ring was captured or broken up because she gave the information to a friend of hers from the FBI. Now, here's the thing. Most of the big celebrities, you're talking Sinatra, Don Rickles, anybody from this era, all knew somebody from some branch of the government.
Well, that's true. Yeah, look at Kennedy, hung out with Marilyn Monroe. All these people hung out together.
Man.
So, yeah.
We don't talk about Monroe.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. But
we don't talk about who. Sorry. But, what about Bruno? All right.
Okay.
Everybody had, but this is the funny part. Everybody's got a connection.
Sure.
Either for them, with them, to them, or around them. We got a president that comes along who is a little celebrity struck. And a lot of celebrities come and go from the house. A lot of celebrities hang out with Richard Milhouse Nixon. This is not new. A lot of celebrities hung out with John Kennedy.
Yeah.
So different things. There's a lot of White House connections here. But during World War II, we had a little scuffle off the West Coast. An item appeared in the sky. Some guns were fired. Nothing was shot down. Did we have a UFO?
Are you talking about the Battle of Los Angeles?
I'm talking about the Battle of L.A. That's right. They shot at something.
Wait, it was after World War II, right? This was around Roswell was 47, right?
Right. Now, well, good throw there with Roswell, because now we got the Roswell crash, and the newspapers come out and say, hey, we got a UFO. Oh, wait, it's just a weather balloon. Other sightings continue. Project Blue Book gets going by the Air Force at this. These are things that people with connections in law enforcement, especially the FBI, or if you're playing golf with a president, you're hearing. So my contention with Jackie Gleason is he might have just been a willing or unwilling foil in the Cold War, because a lot of UFO sightings, we now know in retrospect, are the development of a lot of the spy planes and a lot of the spy technology that went into the Cold War.
Yeah, I mean, a UFO is not an alien. It's just a unidentified.
We just didn't know what it was.
It might be an alien, but it might just be a craft that somebody's working on, or a weather balloon. Or
it could be if you don't know what it is.
Gas reflecting off the cloud.
Yeah, right. Well, it could be. Keep in mind, a lot of people were also still tinkering at this time. If you guys went and bought a weather balloon, that was kind of cool. You could go buy helium just fine. Yeah. And what if you just hung a big flashlight under it?
Yeah, it looks pretty freaky.
Nah, you got a big glowing ball flying across the sky, and
Well, Alan, here's another thing to throw into the mix. Go ahead, Brandon.
And what you think is just this cool little experiment you did in your backyard. Your neighbor, who's a couple sheets to the wind, it's alien.
Is taking shots at it with a shotgun.
Here's another thing to work into this mix, Alan. Okay, this was the era when they started I don't know, television came about, in the late 40s or early 50s or whatever it was. So
TV doesn't really get rolling until the 60s.
Okay, so you got that. You've got this new media. Well, not new, but you have the media of radio. You have television. You have film. You have people that are out there that are basically the equivalent of the influencers back in the day. They wanted to somehow wind up on the news. And then you had, of course,
every bad, cheesy, horrible movie from the 50s and
Orson Welles back in the 30s doing the War of the Worlds and freaking people out. So I just wonder how much of this was actual publicity stunts to rev up the next space movie in Hollywood, or how much of this was real, or
how much of War of the Worlds was actually a cover-up.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Maybe he actually got some footage there, man.
But it's like, all right, the twist is we historically know all of this happened.
Yeah.
We also know from people who made these shows, they contained a lot of Easter eggs, whether it was accidental or not accidental. There's something somebody left on the shelf. A writer became famous because somebody kept putting his books on the shelf behind Reagan.
Very good. Yeah.
Photo
bombing.
Yeah. There's so much going on. It's hard to tell what was coincidence, what was this, what was that. And then you got somebody like Jackie who is a consumer of this information.
Was he, though? You haven't disproven my theory, Alan. You're trying to apply all this logic and common sense, but prove me wrong that he wasn't an alien.
I'm not going to say he wasn't an alien. What I'm going to say is I think he was being used to keep the UFO idea alive. Okay. Because we have the great story that in the middle of the night, there's a phone call. It's from the president. And it's, Jackie, do you want to see something amazing?
Yeah.
So, of course, the fabulous one's going to leap up and go, hey, the president called. I'm getting in the black car. We're going to go see something.
Right.
And then he goes and sees something. Or you don't really know what.
Yeah.
And now you got more stories to tell, which perpetuates a constant myth. So, we're going to say, was there an event? Yes. Was there something shown to somebody that allegedly should or shouldn't have been? Probably. But it's so convoluted. What was the actual scam?
Well, folks, we'd love to know what you think here. I personally, Alan, I prefer to marinate. The question that I want to ponder is that if Jackie Gleason is an alien and he's a scout for his planet, what is his planet like, and what is that civilization like? I want to meet those people.
It looks like Melmac, just without all the fur.
Oh man, it must be a lot of fun. If he's indicative of that, they must all have a great sense of humor. They must be,
Or what if he's the outcast because of his humor?
He's the Jar Jar Binks of his of Yabba Dabba Doo planet. So anyway, well, we'd love to know what you think, and we want your input on these conspiracies. I think we've beat that subject into the ground.
Take your guys' tinfoil hats and actually use them for something constructive.
Throw them into the fire. But anyway, get in touch with us at our voicemail or text line 901-683-0989. And Alan didn't prove me wrong, though. Sorry, your evidence was not conclusive, and I stand by my assertion.
You and Mork have a good time.
Okay. All right. Anyway, but that was good, man. It's a lot of fun diving back into this, and Brandon can stop rolling his eyes, and we can get on to some normal content. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio. You're on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
Yeah! Oh, no!
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And what a wide-ranging show. It's great to be back to 2 hours.
Yeah. It really is, but I want to throw something out to Max. I love the rejoiners, but we've got to have fewer in an episode where it sounds like you've just hurt yourself.
Yeah, it sounds like a very injured.
I mean, I understand this second hour was painful.
It's sort of passive-aggressive rejoiners.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, we want you to interact with us, get in touch with us. For one thing, go to Geek Tank Radio's Facebook page, give us a like. Go scoot over to geektankradio.com and check out what's going on over there. However, we want to hear from you as well, so contact us at the Geek Tank Radio call and text line. You can leave a voice message or a text message at 901-683-0989. And among things, we want to hear your reacts to our conspiracies. We want to hear your thoughts. You can send us pictures as well. And we also want your Bad Geek Confessions, because let's face it, if you submit a Bad Geek Confession and we read it on the air, which, let's face it, if it's interesting, we're going to read it for sure. And you win a free pass to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, November 11th through 13th.
And if it's really good, you might get two.
You might get two. We'll use our discretion. So, and we won't name names. You can also out your friends as a bad geek or something, or just ridicule them, and you benefit from their suffering.
Right. Because what's the point of having friends if you can't make fun of them and benefit from them being made fun of?
Absolutely. So, well, here, guys, we're in a final segment of Geek Tank Radio. Let's have some closing thoughts here. So,
Joe goes on the dating game.
He used the thought word.
Oh, yeah. Right. But Alan, okay, I was Googling, as is my wont, and I don't know how I got the date. I got the date wrong on this, but okay,
because we were sequestered for a couple of years?
Maybe. I don't know if this is this. I thought this story was only about a week or two old, but apparently I guess it's from last year. But I want to give a big shout out to a man named William Almond. He went to the doctor, and apparently, I guess they did X-rays, they did tests. Osmond. You got the story pulled up there, but he got a pretty hefty bill.
He saluted the wrong guy.
It was like $69,000, which motivated him to go ahead and, instead of dealing with professionals in the healthcare business, to go ahead and build his own X-ray machine.
He did, yeah.
And when I told Alan, his initial reaction was not, okay, this guy's going to get sued. He's going to prison. He's gonna fill himself with gamma rays and turn himself into the Hulk. You said, hey, actually, it's not that hard to build.
It's really not. Really.
Well, okay, talk to me. So
there's YouTube videos that'll show you how, Joe.
Okay, how safe are these? Well, go ahead.
Oh, they're not.
They're not.
Oh, no, they're not. Keep in mind, there have been numerous radioactive companies in the past, from the Radium Watch Company to the people that were selling shoes.
Shoes?
Dude, this goes back to the 20s and 30s, and there was a company that would sell you a foot X-ray to put in your shoe store to make sure you were getting your clients the right kind of shoe.
Oh, so if you see the toes all cramped up or something,
so
or
you
whatever,
could look inside the shoe There are, all right, for people that like to go thrifting and antiquing, these machines are still out there.
Yeah.
And occasionally they show up places, and people like me go, can we get a Geiger counter in here real quick?
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Because some of them are still live.
Well, what is it?
I find YouTube videos teaching you how to do it, and the first one is William Osmond's.
Yes.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah,
I mean, how many guys are out there doing
this?
this?
Yeah, he did a YouTube machine. And, basically, he got a bunch of lead. He got a sheet. You can buy a sheet of rolled lead. Let's just kind of start with that. Okay. That's pretty funny in the modern world. Geiger counters are pretty cheap. You can get them on Amazon. He found a electrical supply capable of delivering 60,000 volts.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a bigger achievement. How did you get the electrician to hook that up for you?
Well, it's an electrical supply. It will generate up to 60,000 volts. You could run that off the wall. You can make 100,000 volts out of a 9-volt battery, Joe.
Oh, okay.
You can tase somebody for 60,000 volts.
I was thinking of that. Yeah, actually, because we got a 220 in our house. That's right. Okay.
And, he went someplace and bought a broken dental x-ray machine and got the vacuum tube out of it.
Okay, I call foul. Brandon, I thought the guy made this thing himself. He just recycled a bunch of parts.
You got to get the parts somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sorry. I rescind my salute. All right. I didn't know he just basically.
Well, don't worry,
dude. He did enough work. Believe me.
There's more videos from other people on how to build your own at home.
Okay, good.
I will send you links.
Yeah,
and then you can build one in your garage so that you can see through all those red, fibers that are still.
Can we be sued? Are we negatively influencing the public right now?
Well, no.
We're not telling you to do this.
We're not telling you to do it.
We told you. This wasn't a great idea, but there's a YouTube video out there for it.
Right. If you go to YouTube and watch the video, that's on you and YouTube.
A friend of mine sent me a video a couple of days ago that was taking a couple of axe heads and welding them together, then putting them on a chain, and then had the person who made this thing lumber stuff.
That sounds real safe. Yeah.
And the person would sent this to me, goes, is this a thing? And I went, it's a thing. It's a dumb and really dangerous thing.
Sounds like an anime weapon. I mean, so you swing it, it's going to bounce off of stuff, bounce right back at your shins.
Just the OSHA violations of looking at it alone were legendary.
But Brandon, you said something off the air that I think is worth repeating. This guy, William Osmond, this all happened during the pandemic, and there was quite a bit of invention going on during the pandemic.
Honestly, we all had to find an arts and craft project to keep us from going insane during quarantine.
Yeah.
A lot of people turned to making their own sourdough. Some people started doing woodworking stuff, which you can tell them that it's not that easy a job.
Well, yeah.
But, I think one of my favorite ones, and we've talked about it before, it was the candy delivery tube, so Halloween could still happen.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of creative ways to deliver candy.
These were amazing, ideas.
There's a lot of creative ways to deliver candy.
These were amazing, ideas. This guy, got stuck with a, upwards of $70,000 hospital bill. He was like, nope, going to see my insides on my own, and probably gave himself cancer. But hey, we all got creative during the pandemic. He just went a little bit farther.
Now, is he making money on this? Like, is he X-raying his neighbors?
God, I hope not.
That would actually be illegal because that would be practicing medicine.
I mean,
this guy doesn't sound like he's too hung up on rules.
Well, all right. To be the OSHA guy over here, every place that has X-rays and MRIs and all of that kind of stuff has a radiation safety officer. They have somebody there to kind of go,
we're going to throw the lead shield up in front of you?
Yeah, don't use this piece of equipment because they have somebody and you have a lot of testing that needs to go on to make sure you're doing something safe. Those has never stopped invention.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, a field medic who is not licensed to be a medic giving you a tracheotomy so that you don't choke to death in a Denny's, he can be arrested for practicing medicine without a license. Oh. This guy with the X-ray machine, the only thing he should do with that is maybe look inside his neighbor's walls and then get arrested.
I don't know. I love the can-do spirit. I'm all about that. So
I think this is a testimony to just how far you can go.
Right.
And if you want to, you can buy a car Or guess what? There are a lot of junkyards out there that will sell you every piece to a car. And if you want to sit down and you want to put in the work, you can build yourself a car out of 1,000 other cars. You can make a Franken car.
You know, you're making me think of something, Alan, because
Joe's going to make us do a Franken car for a video.
You remember that episode of Operation when they went back in time and they were dealing with Mark Twain and everything, and Data basically using a bunch of stuff he got from the hardware store back in the 1800s, built like this transceiver and transmitter type thing out of basic equipment. And I'm just thinking, if somebody got real inventive with the technology we have today, who knows? Maybe they could build like a transporter or a time machine or some more efficient spaceship or something. We've got the parts. We just got to put them together.
We were building magnetic influencers. We were building amazing things in 1880.
Yeah. Look what we got now, though. I mean,
well,
you talk about Frankensteining.
All right,
I mean,
all right. How far? All right. We're talking about amazing inventions and going too far. I'm going to say
Joe needs a Tesla
I've seen where we've gone too far.
Okay.
I have now seen Ham Ham.
What is Ham Ham?
What is Ham Ham? Ham Ham is the penultimate explosion in AI and robotics.
I just want to say for the record, Allan often misuses the word penultimate. Penultimate means second to last, and I don't think that's what you mean
I
here.
wish it was second to last. But, you know, how would you love to have a little toy that got to know you and love you and acted like a real cat and would actually bite you?
Okay.
Yeah, I think not.
Yeah.
If I want to get, I guess, attacked by pets, I'll just get a cat.
Yeah, just do the real thing.
I mean, honestly, this is an ad line. The charming gesture where pets and babies gently nibble your finger with their small teeth.
What is, I'm a little lost. You're talking about an AI pet now?
You need to get back on family-friendly sites, Alan.
Yeah, I feel like you're off to something.
No, this was at CES last year. You guys talking about things that got invented pandemic.
Yeah, but things at CES don't belong in the full-on mainstream market either.
Yeah.
This sounds like the beginning of that book.
On mainstream market either.
Yeah.
This sounds like the beginning of that book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Because that's literally the theme of this.
Here we go.
And now we have this cute little plush toy that acts like a kitty, looks like a kitty, and if you stick your finger in its mouth, it's going to bite you.
Does it hairball like a kitty?
I don't, I'm just looking at the images for Ham Ham.
So thank you, coronavirus. You're giving us homemade x-ray machines and, AI cats that are very creepy. Just the description alone, I don't want to hear about, Alan. But, the world sure has changed. Like you said, we're never going back to normal.
It's a different world, man.
But, boy, the world.
Normal?
Talk about the world changing. We've now got 2 hours of Geek Tank Radio in the can, and next week promises more. So, wow, what a bizarre show today, though, Alan. I got to admit, it's I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like in some ways we've humanity, in other ways,
it's like they gave us this extra hour, and we completely abused it.
Yeah. As we'll probably do from week to week, everybody. So,
wow.
Well, a quick reminder, make sure you get back in touch with us at Geek Tank Radio's Facebook page. Give us a like. Check us out over there. Call us and text us at 901-683-0989 and join the Geek Tank Radio family.
But I don't think I want to.
Time to get out of here, everybody. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Alan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, wishing that Bruce Wayne could adopt me and get me out of this family.